recording button. And pop out this little beauty. And I
We're in
believe we're live.
business.
Right, let me just do everyone letting us know that we're open. Why is everyone only going to get two people? That's a bit weird. But yes, we'll give some people a chance to pop in. There's been a few people asking in chat as to exactly when and where it is and everything. So
Okay, yeah, awesome, man. I'll just sit here and wait a little bit.
yeah, this is the thrilling part.
We do a art night every week, and it's like that too.
Kind of wondering why the everyone was only saying 282 people though.
Oh yeah, mine was doing that too. It said like 600 people or something. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, like it should be hitting like. I mean, we've got 6,500 members at this point, so. But there's 280 online, so maybe it's just going to them only these days.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, we can say hello to Celestial Craniums and the TA for being prompt and on time and keen. Um, if you two would like to ask any questions at any point, don't forget we've got our chat channel just above the voice channel. And at the minute, your questions have got a really good chance of being answered. Really not. Oh, there's a tube sock.
Blue tube sock.
Yeah, I mean, I was planning on opening the channel a few minutes earlier, but unfortunately, I had some things I had to take care of, make sure I was ready and everything.
Oh, I got some members that are looking for it.
You see, I've had this problem before where people struggle to find it, and I have absolutely no idea why, because I've literally got it open for everyone at this point.
Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of people are struggling. See, I just sent the link straight to the maybe you should do that too in your announcement. Just put the actual
Yeah,
voice channel invite in there.
there we go.
WQ, what's good, man?
Uh, Interestingly enough, I don't see it come up on. Yeah, I don't actually see it come up on my room list,
Oh,
which is
I
really
just
weird.
DM'd it to you. That is weird though.
That's really weird.
I saw it right away, so I don't know. I don't have any problem finding it.
Yeah,
And
the text channel's fine,
yeah,
but it's the voice.
WQ, I
Um,
see you switching up the profile picture. Shout out to you.
I mean, literally everyone can view. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe that's why. Because I've just done it for everyone and not for toolheads. Maybe that's going to help. Well, people seem to be filtering in at a much faster pace.
Mr. Mag, what's good? CBCR. I know you guys. Mr. Link.
Yeah, here's the internet. Anything you like within reason.
What's up, Asher?
Oh yeah, I don't see anything that could possibly stop anyone from seeing it at this point, and we are actually now getting some people joining at least. So hopefully we're getting there.
I know a lot of people who joined are from our Discord. I don't know if that's because I just put the link in there, so everybody was able to find it pretty easily. I did DM you the link to the actual channel if you want to
Yeah,
like.
that was just taking me to the chat channel, not the voice.
I just threw it into general chat too.
Okay, that's. All right, well, we'll just use that one for now. Kind of surprised you were able to put that Discord link in there, actually. Well, no, we've had to block all sorts of links because of hacks, scams,
Oh
whatevers,
yeah.
whatevers. So, have you heard about the ticket exploit?
Oh no. What's that?
So there's an exploit with customer service tickets on Discord that will allow malicious actors to post anything they want in any channel they like without permissions.
Oh wow.
It's a
No,
bad one.
that's not good.
So yeah, if you have like support tickets going on, it's worth considering disabling them right now. It's Bored Apes got hit by it, and a lot of people started losing apes and all sorts.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, and with all this Snoop Dogg attention, I'm sure it won't be too long before they start realizing Cardano is actually a thing for NFTs.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna get a little crazy here this year.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, good crazy.
So yeah, it appears that people aren't filtering in so much at the minute, so probably a good time to start thinking about starting. I'm a little
Yeah, I'm
disappointed we
ready
don't have
whenever
more
you want to get
people,
started.
but so we should probably start off with introductions.
Yeah, actually I have a couple of team members on as well. Actually Big PT is on the team
Nice.
if you can mute him.
Yeah, if you just he's yes. There we
Unless he's
go.
muted himself.
Yep. Hey, there I am. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Oh, you did.
Alright,
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
great. Friday night. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Anyone else
I
who I
I can
meet?
start off. I think we had one more team member on, but I don't know where he went. Maybe we had a reboot or something.
Fair.
Um, but yeah, I could get started with the introduction. So my name's it's Brian Stivers, B Stives as they call me, and I am the big banana for Veggiemates. So project lead, dev as they say in the space. And I come from a background. I studied programming in college. I went into sales and marketing for about the first decade of my career, and I transitioned into a role in between. I'm in a solutions engineering role on the leadership side, and I'm a senior leader at DocuSign. And so I
Oh
work in the
wow.
tech space. I've actually been with the company for 10 years. I've seen it grow from a 200 person company to an 8,000 person company. And along the way, I've really seen like the difference between operating as a small company, operating as a large company. And, when we think about Veggiemates, we're definitely thinking much bigger than just the project. We actually have a company virtually made, and we're an entertainment company. And so Veggiemates is just one of our IPs. We have Junkies coming out as well, which is the Veggiemates arch nemesis,
Yeah.
and some more projects in the work as well that aren't related to Veggiemates whatsoever. So we're really trying to build this out to be more than just a project one and done. We're really trying to build an ecosystem here.
Yeah, that's quite an impressive introduction.
Yeah, thanks.
So I was going to say, Big PT.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Paul Thomas is my name. Big PT. Nothing as quirky as Big Banana or anything like that. um, I I I play bass in Good Charlotte. So I've been a musician since 1998, I think. And today's actually my band's 26 year like anniversary, which is really cool.
Oh wow.
And somewhere around 2016, 2017, I just got really enamored with the idea of a decentralized like economic system, like a global decentralized economic system, and I just really got into cryptocurrency and blockchain. And what I've been kind of decent at in my life is if I enjoy doing something, I try to figure out a way to make it a job. Like I really lucked out with the bass playing, but it wasn't luck. It took a lot of work, and
Yeah.
so now I'm doing the same thing. I really want to work in crypto, not just be an investor. So I went back to school. I did a programming boot camp, full stack programming, and I'm currently like a couple semesters away from getting an applied mathematics degree from Berkeley. And yeah, the goal is to just help move this space forward because I really believe it's going to be a really good thing for a lot of countries out there.
Yeah, I mean, sort of like fairly recent events like Ukraine and everything are certainly putting it into a perspective for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And I think as the world continues in various different ways, it's only going to become more and more important to have a independent means of transferring
Yeah, I
trade.
mean,
I'm trying to think of the word. I don't want to use the word currency, but the ability to independently trade without oversight from government and other institutions is going to become increasingly important.
yeah, I mean, it's not an exact parallel, but I really compare it to, labels trying to deny streaming exists and will
Oh,
affect their CD sales in the long run. And the governments are so behind the ball that I don't know if they'll ever really be able to truly regulate it how they would like to. But I'm sure a hammer's going to come down somewhere, and it's going to be a bummer. But until then, Wild Wild West, y'all.
so I'm Original Sin. I actually work for CNFT Tools. Tools was started by Legion of Brad and PRZ's CNTN. I no chance of pronouncing that. And it was born. Well, we started the Cardanos project, or they started the Cardanos project, and I joined later on. And a rarity ranking site was something that was really missed in the space, and it was something that they both really wanted. So they just went ahead and made it happen, basically. And I've been lucky enough to piggyback over from Cardinos into sort of like the CM from Cardinos into doing this as well.
Gotta
It's
say,
it's
I'm a
not
fan of
it's
your
not
work.
a long and interesting so much of a long and interesting story like you guys. But I mean, before Cardinos and sort of like CNFTs really became a thing, I'd been chatting to a friend of mine about NFTs, and there was a lot of really ropey things going on. And we both said, like, you know, when somebody wants to do it right, then that's the point where we'll jump into it. And he knew Legion of Brad from another business thing that he was doing, and Brad had said, right, I'm going to do Cardinos, and we both said we were in. I jumped in basically doing a community manager job, probably about a month before release, and then ended up getting taken on full time, living the dream. Got to quit my job at an Amazon fulfillment center, and have been bumbling my way through NFTs ever since.
Nice, man.
So yeah, kind of
Nice
living the dream
reading.
right now. Now I'm interviewing pop stars and Fortune 500 top bigwigs. So you know, I really can't ask for any more.
Yeah, don't let the titles fool you. We're just a couple DJs. That's how me and Stives got into this together. Building, Ethereum mining rigs, and well, I had to lean on Stives' engineering background to help get through that one. But like, just hit each other up like, hey, have you heard about this? Hey, have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
Yeah,
If you're in this space, you probably have some little cluster of friends that you talk to about it because there's not really anybody else you can talk to about it.
yeah. It's not a conversation you can ever have down the pub.
Yeah, and then I mean, if you do bring it up, then sometimes you're like, I don't want to talk to this person about it because I have
Yeah,
to. I feel like I have to like work right now to convince them something.
Oh man, I deal with that every day. Every time I go into work, people are like, "Hey, tell me about NFTs." I'm like, "You're not ready for that yet." Like, like, you know what blockchain is? No? Okay, then you're
yeah,
not ready.
I
I had
mean,
to
but that's
explain
the
to
thing
guy.
that like I feel like is my like job or role is to do that though. To be like, oh, well, let
Totally.
me help let me break it down to you because I'm not an insanely smart person. Let me tell you how I understand it.
Well, and like I most people when they look at crypto, they think about the gains, which obviously is the cool part about it. But because they just see it as that, they look past the actual purpose of it, the utility. And like I was just talking to a coworker today and he's like, I'm just Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'm like, dude, you gotta spread your wings a little bit. And he's like, no, I think everything else is gonna go to zero. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, let me explain to you why not. And then I started explaining like dApps to him, and I started talking about like utility and the fact that a lot of layer one solutions, whenever this does become mainstream technology, they can't handle the capacity that we need, right? We can't handle bank transactions. We can't run companies off a blockchain because it's just not fast enough right
yeah,
now. I think the Nasdaq does like 3 million transactions per second, and there's not a single blockchain, even Cardano at full scale, that can handle that. So we are going to live in like a multi-chain
yeah,
future. I do firmly believe that, and so just explaining that to people because they don't understand like, hey, you can actually use this stuff. And the analogy I gave him is like, not every company in the world uses the same data servers. Not every company in the world uses the same programming language. It all kind of
Mhm.
depends on what the use case is.
yeah,
And so I do think that Cardano in particular has really good plans in terms of scalability, has a really good community. I see it as a very strong position layer one. And I think as we go into the next couple years, like this is definitely where we wanted to make our bet.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I would equate it more similar to like the mobile phone market, where you know we've got Google and we've got Android, i.e. Samsung and everything else. But there's a whole ton of different manufacturers doing phones for different purposes. Where you got the hard, well, you got like your normal flagship phones, and you have the more specialist phones that are incredibly damage resistant, or they perform certain functions, or they have certain software and things like that. And they all have a place in the overall ecosystem. And slowly there's cross-train bridges coming out, so things can be transferred from one to another. Like we recently got the ERC20 converter, I believe, with Ethereum. So you'd be able to transfer NFTs from Cardano over to Ethereum and vice versa.
You streaming here, Stives?
Sorry, I was on mute. When interoperability becomes standard, I think like that's what's gonna happen is when you can go from chain to chain, we're gonna see so many people starting to adopt the technology because like that's how we scale ultimately.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge advocate of all of the projects that are working on or focused on interoperability because I really think that's key. Just like how it was with forming the internet with HTTP.
Yeah, agreed.
And I was just sharing my screen just so you got something to look at on the recording.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to look, you can see. We actually got some stuff we have recently worked on. We released a game trailer pretty recently in the last week and a half, and we're building out a tower defense game. And it's a really cool story. So we got a token coming out, our greens token, and the fun thing about it. So when we look at our company Virtually Made, an analogy that we have is like the decentralized Adult Swim. So we're building an entertainment brand.
Oh, wow.
The difference with our brand is you get to own a piece of it. So and unlike if you were watching Space Ghost or if you're watching Aqua Teen growing up, you didn't necessarily get to own anything. You were just a fan of it. And what's cool about all this is like imagine if you owned an NFT of Meatwad right when it came out. Like how much doper would that be 20 years later? And so that's obviously the NFT part of it. But then the tokens is okay, now we're creating this ecosystem. We have a token in the ecosystem. But what's fun is we're actually integrating it into our story as well. So it's kind of the central point of the story. So not only do you get to own greens in your wallet, but as we develop our characters, as we develop the world, greens is what everybody wants. It's like the energy source. It's like the money in every movie. That's kind of the antagonist, really. Everybody wants power or money, and they're kind of one and the same. And if you look at any hero movie, anything like that's the central point. And we're building that into our story. And what's cool is like you get to own a piece of that story, and
Yeah.
you'll get a little peek of that in the trailer.
So taking it just back a little bit, what was it really that inspired the whole vegetable theme? Because obviously it's not something that would have originally popped out as being something to make NFTs out of, especially as early into the space as you guys were.
Yeah, so we actually were kind of spitballing, and we were thinking about Mr. Potato Head because he's kind of like the original NFT or like auto-generated NFT kind of. He had like the swappable eyes, nose,
Yeah.
mouth, and that led into our artist drawing a banana. And so it all started with the banana, berry banana, and from there we loved it. It was unique. We didn't want to do another like derivative. We wanted to have something that was different. And then when the artwork came out, the personalities of the veggies was just it really shined. We just got all kinds of like funny traits and a lot of humor in the actual characters. Like we got I got a video here, but one of our characters has like the derpy eyes. And once we agreed on that concept, then we kind of came up with the antagonist, and it just made a lot of sense, the vegetables versus the junk food. And so we came up with the idea of the junkies, and the concept is the veggies got to eat the junkies to live, and the junkies got to eat the veggies to live, and only one may win. And so it was a really fun concept, and that kind of turned into like creating a community based around like better wellness, mental health, physical wellness, financial wellness. And so we do Twitter Spaces every week, where we try to hit on some of those topics. Definitely, like Big PT said, we're still degens at the end of the day. So we're wholesome in a degenerative way if those two things can go together.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody that eats probably a little bit too much junk food, I think anything that's promoting healthy eating is definitely a good shout in any space at this point.
Well, just wait till you see the junkies, you know, because I'm with you on that, and I think a lot of people agree too. A lot of people don't eat vegetables.
Do you have any plans for any education outreach? Because obviously, you know, these characters are quite appealing. Well, I like to think they're quite appealing to a younger crowd as well, and it's certainly something that you know is for all ages, as opposed to the traditional NFT crowd of 18 plus.
Um,
Yeah,
I I just pulled up a picture. Um, I so they
Yeah,
are
maybe
vegetables,
not that
but
one so much specifically, but
no, I think Adult Swim is a really good comparison because it's geared towards adults, but totally watched by young adults. Maybe not children, but you know, young adults like 12 or
yeah,
older. And um, yeah, I think because we enjoy that genre so much, we're probably going to be more directed towards that. As far as education, we try to put that in to other elements, but I like the idea of putting it into like just having little parts in the story that could like contribute to that.
yeah,
It's interesting. But the idea is the idea is to create conflict between vegetables and junk food, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. That's
yeah,
that's
and
been that's been the thing that's been a big surprise to me is just how much fun it is. It's a lot of work, but
yeah.
it's fun.
No, that's good. And yeah, obviously, game coming. Do you have any idea as to when that will become playable?
so we're working on a playable demo in terms of like the actual game launch. We still need to scope that out. So one thing we do different, I think, than a lot of other projects is anytime we commit a timeline, and a lot of this has to do with the background that I have, but we actually technically scope it out. We have a statement of work. We actually make sure like, all right, here's the exact plan in order to get that going. And so we don't just like to throw dates out at random. We like to
Hmm.
make
Fair.
sure that we can actually meet the date.
Yeah,
So right now, like I could give you an arbitrary number, like we're shooting maybe towards like end of year, but we haven't fully scoped it out yet. But yeah, we're actually in development currently on the game.
that's cool. I have to admit, as a bit of a tower defense fan, it's been quite some time until we've actually had a decent tower defense come out.
Balloons is the one
Yeah.
that I love the most, and
Yeah,
that's
Blends is
kind of
good.
a lot of the inspiration for it.
You see, it was the older Warcraft 3 mods that got me into the genre originally. Um,
Same here as StarCraft, actually.
oh, okay. But yeah, I was never very good at Warcraft 3 on its own, but I just always loved tower defense and the concept behind that.
Yeah, we wanted to build something that we want to play. Um, I've played other crypto games before, and if I wasn't making money, I would never play them in a million years. Um,
Yeah,
like
it's an actual
Decentraland's one
game.
of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just played it and just was like, oh my god, it's so boring. And so we actually want to make a game we wanted to play ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then a lot of other um, games or just ideas that projects are trying to do is really trying to exploit, what the blockchain can do, like the power of the blockchain, instead of focusing on just a great user experience. And that's what we're going to try to do is be user experience based first, but built on the blockchain.
that's cool. So, will the game be playable by anyone, or would he be required to own a Veggiemates to be able to play?
It'll be playable by anyone. I think you got to strike that right balance of adoption
Hmm.
and utility. And so we definitely want to make it so that it's accessible, but owning a veggie would definitely give you advantages. Primarily, by owning a veggie, you can stake it and you can earn greens. And so greens, there'll be tokens that are tradable on a DEX, but they'll actually be used in the game, used in our ecosystem. And so, like, buying comics, music. We have a musician in our group, other
Debatable.
NFTs, and so we actually have a couple really cool ideas that we're fleshing out right now. Like making an arcade and having kind of like when you go to the arcade and you have a ticket booth where you go in, you take all your tickets and you cash them in for prizes. We've been talking about doing something like that. So there's a lot of ways that we can go with the greens token.
That's good. There's a really good question posted by the TA actually. Will there be a bridge for the public to buy virtual made NFTs without converting their fiat money into ADA and then into greens?
Um, that's definitely a possibility on the website. So we're still very early in Cardano, and so in order to do that kind of stuff, you need like oracles, which I don't even know if we have those yet, or they're still in development. So it's not something we have prioritized, but definitely it's where our head's at. Like I would love it for somebody to use their debit card and be able to purchase greens. Now, the only other thing I will say about that, and this is something that we it's a lot to deal with, but legality is that it's a bitch, man.
Yeah,
And we, for better for worse, are doing everything above board, and it adds a lot. It actually adds a lot of layers. You can't just
yeah,
do things, and
Yeah.
I do think that's one of the things that's happening behind the scenes that most people don't understand. We're living in the Wild West right now. And so it's easy to say, yeah, 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 we'll do that. But then when you start talking to your lawyers, they're like, well,
You
you
shouldn't have
can
done
do
anything.
that, but and our intention is to build a company. We don't care about building an NFT project. Like we're not just trying to build this project, write it while it's good and then be like, all right, well that was a nice ride. Like we're actually trying to build a company. We want to have options where we could sell our company. We want to have the option where we can receive funding from investors. And the only way to do that is be above board, have good books, do everything,
yeah,
buy the legal books to the best of your ability. And I think that's something that people don't understand. Like about Bored Ape is a big reason they're successful. Like obviously there's a lot of them, but it's because they're clean on the books and they actually operate as a company. They
yeah,
don't just operate as an NFT project.
yeah. I mean, certainly within Europe, there seems to be a lot of the NFT projects that are making into games and things like that are making their company in Malta because they have really liberal laws there as far as crypto and everything goes, and regulation is, I don't want to say laxer, but certainly in other industries that tend to operate out of Malta, they tend to have a looser touch on regulations, which helped a lot, I think.
Yeah. And like we're issuing our token out of another country and doing a lot of things to make sure again that we have options in the future
Yeah,
and we're not just limited to minting more NFTs, and we could actually build an entertainment company because that's really been the intention.
oh, sorry. So yeah, don't forget everyone, if you have any questions or you think that I've missed an obvious question or anything like that, feel free to post it in the chat room. I am watching, and anything asked there will be put to our guests. So yeah, had a nice little look through your white paper earlier, which initially looked a little bit daunting at 28 pages, but they're quite short pages and quite concise. Looks really well put together actually, and I think it it shows the attention to detail that you guys are putting in, and also the fact that you're doxed is definitely a plus for the project. It's
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, doxing is definitely a double-edged sword for some
Hmm.
slash a lot of projects, but the fact that you feel able to do that is something that will be going a long way towards calming some people's fears about investing in certain projects.
Yeah, for us, again, it has to do with long term. We're looking at this like on a 5 to 10 year span. Um, I, as well as Paul and the rest of the team, we want to build resumes as we do this, and uh, it just feels like if you're building something that you're proud of, you should put your name on it. I definitely know that it works against you sometimes because we don't have the blessing of evading taxes or not doing legal um doing things by the legal book because other people, if they don't dox and they get in legal trouble, they're like, all right, peace, I'm out. And that's not an option for us, so it keeps us honest for sure. But also, like, I'm proud of the backgrounds that we have. Like
Yeah.
I really think that it's something that people should pay more attention to because I'm a hiring manager for a living. And if somebody comes to me and they're like, no, I'm not giving you a resume. I'm not telling you my background. And I'm like, oh, well, how do I know you can do the job? Just trust me, I could do the job. Okay, I'll just trust you and give you a bunch of money. That makes sense. Like it's not how we operate in real life, and
Yeah.
so it totally depends on the duty, right? And it depends on what you're asked to do. But like, if I have a community that's trusting us with all of their funds and their, well, not all their funds, but whatever they invested into us, and they're
For
they're
for some
trusting us
people,
to,
it will be all their funds. That's an
it
easy
could
thing for
be
us to forget. Is that not especially with the newer people coming into the space. They didn't buy ADA at 2 cents a coin 3 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yep.
They're people, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and putting what little spare cash they have into getting some enjoyment out of some nice pictures and maybe some games and some other bits and pieces going on around it.
totally. And I just, it was a decision we had to make, and at the end of the day, I I don't even know how many people looked at my LinkedIn, honestly. Um, but it's out there, man, and like we are very, very doxed. I put my profile all over the place. And the background I have is in sales, marketing, tech, and so I actually think it's lended very well to the space, and I hope in the long run it does pay off because I will say in the short term it causes way more pain than it helps because people don't care right now. People are cool with putting their money into something on docs based off of pure hype. And you know what? Like some of those teams actually do very well. And again, it just depends on what you're doing. But as for us, like because we're building a company, because we're thinking long term, it just really wasn't an option for us.
Yeah, I mean, sort of like the advantages you get in the long term should outweigh the short term disadvantages, as long as there's no nutters running around trying to get revenge because somebody listed 180A below floor, which has happened.
Well, and like I have my profile on LinkedIn. You know, I manage people for a living. I have the same risk. Somebody could be like, "Oh, this Brian Stivers guy seems like a turd. I don't like him." And they could come after me. So I think a big part of it is just trusting who you are, your intentions, and can something bad happen? Can somebody, find my address and do something to me? Maybe. But I think it's a risk that we're willing to take because I mean I am trying to build a brand, like I don't know. It's very interesting because like would you trust Apple if you didn't know Steve Jobs or like, what if Elon Musk was just some rando?
Yeah.
Um now Satoshi Nakamoto totally anonymous and owns a bunch of Bitcoin and we trust that. So again, it all depends on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, Binance seems to do all right, so and
Yeah, that's a
they have some issues with doxing and everything apparently. If you well, depending on who you ask, anyway.
I mean, I actually own a decent amount of Binance. I've been very deep in that ecosystem. I bought SafeMoon on day one,
Oh wow.
and I'll make my bet on Cardano.
Yeah, I mean, I did buy a small amount of Safe Moon at one point, and I actually managed to get out having breaking even, which was quite nice.
There you go.
I know
I
it,
did not have.
it, it, it went up 50%, and I got to break even. So yay me.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the ones where Stives was like, "Dude, you gotta check this out." But then playing in that ecosystem and how fast it was compared to playing in Ethereum was just wow.
yeah,
Um, it just made me realize, like, okay, it's coming. Like the speed is coming.
Yeah, when I mean Hydra's coming out soon, at least the early stages, I think. So it'll be interesting to see. But I really do think like once Cardano starts catching up in terms of transaction speed and just reliability in the DApp ecosystem, we have every other part right now. Our tech is lagging a little bit behind, but it's built
yeah,
with sound fundamentals and scalability in mind. It's funny because like what Cardano is the blockchain, I kind of feel like Veggiemates is to Cardano NFTs, where we're so focused on building a solid base layer that most people don't really appreciate. But long term, I think we're built for sustainable success,
yeah,
and that's exactly how I feel about Cardano.
yeah. I mean, it's easy for people to forget, but I mean, Ethereum had been developed for several years before Charles Hoskinson took his leave from the company and started working on Cardano, I believe.
Yeah,
And sort of like obviously, they're however far ahead in terms of adoption and everything like that. But I do think that that's something that's going to be changing fairly swiftly over the next sort of like 3 to 5 years, especially.
oh yeah, 100%. And like I was really deep into a lot of other blockchains, including BNB. I've never seen a community like this before. Obviously, you go into like Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's popping in there, but that's because they're making a crap ton of money. You take that money away, like I don't know,
Yeah,
but Cardano, it's not like there's projects that aren't worth a house that have very very active communities,
yeah,
and I think because we have that, when we do start having more money and utility come into the space, like we're just gonna have the most passionate people ever, and they're gonna have more than just a belief in something that could be, and like they'll actually be able to show you something tangible, like hey, here's what I'm doing with this right now. And that's why we're building a game, and that's why we're building comics, because I want to be able to say, hey, here's actual content. This isn't just us making money and selling NFTs and selling tokens. This is like us actually delivering entertainment content. But the beauty is, unlike Marvel or Adult Swim animations, you actually get to own a piece of this company,
yeah.
in the form of an NFT, in the form of a token, and that's what's awesome about it.
So I mean, something. bringing you back to Veggiemates a bit more, but still on the community front. Something that I've been very impressed with, sort of like over the last few months, is the amount of collabs and the amount of work you do with other projects as well. I mean, I was scrolling back through your announcements not long before stream. It was just like collab with this, collab here, collab there, collab here, collab there, and it's like everybody wants to work with you guys.
Yeah, and I do. I believe that the more projects work together, the better the space is going to grow. And what I don't think people understand is the velocity of money, and the fact that what creates a healthy economy is when money moves. And in this world, our money is Cardano, right? In our Cardano ecosystem, and we got NFTs. So when somebody takes their 50 ADA, they buy an NFT with it. The creators get 50 ADA, and the other person gets an asset. At that time, it's worth, let's say, 50 ADA. And then they sell it for 100, and now they go buy another mint. What ends up happening is every single time one of these assets is created, you're actually building more. You're turning that original 50 ADA into a lot more. And you can have $35 billion of Cardano create $300 billion of value, as long as that money moves and assets or value is being created in the process.
Yeah,
And so when I first started, I did have this initial attitude of like, oh, it's us versus them. In order for us to win, they can't win. But very quickly learned, oh wait, no, it's if they win and they win and they win, then we win more. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about, because it's really easy to get competitive. I'm a very competitive person, but it's definitely something big for us. Also, we've had a scratch and claw, and I don't think a lot of people understand how much work we've had to put in to get to the level of success that we have even
yeah.
now. And I think we have a lot more to go. But like we had a rough mint. It took us over a week to sell out. We had our floor crash because like we had a well dump like 60% below market.
Ooh,
We've had a lot of struggles along the way, and we've luckily come out on the other side of them. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and our community's passionate about, and like we've been very consistent, is like I just like helping people. Like if I can offer help, if I see somebody busting their ass and working hard on their project, I don't care if it's the biggest project ever. Anybody who's working their butt off, sometimes they just need a little bit of guidance, because a lot of times people are working hard, but they might be working on the wrong things. And because all the struggles we've been through, I've learned a couple things along the way, and so I definitely try to be a mentor to some projects, but at the same time, I'm a student as well. And so when I see projects being very successful, like the Ada Ape Society, I reached out to them and I'm like, yo, what are you guys working on? Like, how are you guys doing this? Because I want to understand like what makes them tick.
yeah.
And one of the things that we have that's really cool that emphasizes this, I'm sharing on the screen, is our farmers market. And this is where we have a bunch of other projects come into our Discord. Our
Yeah.
last one had 100 projects, which
Oh
was a little
wow.
bit overboard, honestly. It was too
Yeah,
many.
that gets hard to manage at some point.
Yeah. So it got a little bit too wild, but Big PT will play live, will stream it. He's kind of the entertainment to attract everybody. But really the key is to like give a bunch of projects a platform. We'll have a lot of the big names in there, like you'll see a lot of the biggest projects in the space, but we really want to give like some of the smaller projects who don't have a platform a voice. And we've had
Yeah.
some really dope projects come out of that too.
You see, I mean, that's one thing that slightly concerns me as Cardano, especially as Cardano explodes as opposed to growing at a more reasonable rate, is the fact that it's going to be quite easy to lose that sense of community. So,
Yeah, I
so
hope that
like
never
as
happens.
as as a new person going into Ethereum, it's a complete wall of noise, honestly. And there's other reasons why I don't get involved in Ethereum, but part of the fact is it's so big, and I don't want to say it's mature yet, but it's definitely maturing, and it very quickly becomes an information overload. There's however many thousand projects and everything like that, and it's very difficult to sort the wheat from the chaff, especially with all the Discord spamming and everything else that goes on. And I feel that as a community, we need to work out how to welcome new members to the community, but like a lot of members to the community, and make sure they have the resources they need to be able to find what they want.
Yeah,
And
100%.
again, that's something that Tools is a part of, because I mean, we already have well over 400 projects listed with us, and it's growing every single day. And yeah, there's plenty of other sites, whether it's Open CNFT or various other different websites trying to display all the information. And I think we need to not necessarily have an onboarding process, but definitely have the community be aware of all the projects that are better for newer people to be able to dip their toes in with.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I got to bounce, guys. My apologies for not being able to stay to the end, but I really appreciate the time and being invited.
Yeah, well, glad to have you, and you'll be back. Welcome back anytime, man.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Cheerio.
see a big PT. What were you just talking about there?
But yeah, like onboarding newer
Oh
people
yeah.
into the space, because I mean, obviously, Snoop Dogg did his big tweet about Claymates, which is brilliant and awesome for the space. But when you've got 10,000 people all descending on Clay Nation, and the floor is at 2 grand or 5 grand or 10 grand or whatever the hell it's going to be in 3 weeks time or whatever, we don't want people just to turn around and say, yeah, that's way out of my league, and go off somewhere else.
And I do think like because of the gas fees, especially that's how you feel about Ethereum, or a lot of people in Cardano feel about Ethereum, and why they don't get into projects. Because the barrier to entry is so high, and that is one of the cool things that we have right now.
Yes.
And so it's funny because when we started, I would fixate over floor price. I'm like, oh no, the floor's going down, floor's going up. And I've come around to realize it doesn't really matter. It's like that's what people value it at. But when the floor goes down, it means like, oh, now that's a good entry point for new people to join.
Yes. Very much so.
Um, and so it's not a bad thing. It's temporarily bad as like an investor. You start thinking like, oh no, I'm losing my money. But like long term, that actually might expand the brand potentially. Obviously, everybody wants to go to the moon, right? That when
Yeah.
everybody wants a Lambo. Um, so there's nothing wrong with making profits in it. But I actually think that that's one of the things about our project is funny because like when our floor was 100 ADA, so many people are like, oh, it's too late, it's too expensive, and I'm sitting there like, I mean, it's not that
Yeah.
expensive, like, but it's all relative. It depends on where you're from and your situation. So I'm sensitive to that as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think that our goal is to stay focused on just building our brand, making it fun, making it funny, and hopefully that right there attracts new people into the space. Like ultimately, that's the goal. Just like any other project, we want to bring more people into Cardano and have them say, "Hey, what are they working on over there? It seems like they're doing some cool stuff."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sort of like, certainly the NFT market as it stands is fairly centralized on sort of like America and Europe. But Cardano itself has, the big plans are for the lesser developed areas like Africa and parts of Asia, and places where they don't necessarily have the kind of infrastructure, and certainly they don't have the same level of income. and keeping it accessible for those people as much as we can, I think is going to be very important for adoption down the road.
100%. Yeah, and ultimately, like, I think the real long-term benefit of this technology, like speaking way in the future, is bringing equality around the world. Because me being born in America, I'm guessing by the accent you're in the UK or
Yes,
somewhere in Europe.
for a
We have
while anyway.
we have advantages that other people never will have,
Yeah,
and we things that we take for granted, something like running water, or not having to be stuck working on a farm for your whole life because you literally got to eat.
yeah,
And there's opportunities that just aren't available to other people in other countries. And one of the things that like makes me the happiest is when somebody from like Africa or Philippines or another country that might not have access to all the same things we have, makes it into space. They buy, a space bud at mint price, or a claymation, or they buy a Veggiemate, when our well dumped, and now that price is going up for them, and it's like all of a sudden they got life-changing money, and that might change the course of the rest of the generation for them.
yeah,
Like, that's what's actually happening right now. And a big part of it is just we've had such the good end of the stick for so long, and it goes back to my velocity of money.
yeah,
If people out there in third world countries are getting richer, it actually means us in the first world country are getting richer, because now there's more product being produced. They're not getting rich at the cost of us losing. They're actually getting richer because we're building something. There's more value being created in the earth.
yeah, and it forges links between people. Like aside from the financial side, which is great and brilliant and everything like that, it's an opportunity for people like ourselves to get into to be in contact with random developer in Africa or random person in the Philippines or whatever, and to be able to share ideas and to improve everything around the space.
Yeah, and forming like genuine relationships with people you
Yes.
never
Yeah.
thought you would talk to, right? Like, what are the chances of me and you ever talking if we're not both in the NFT space together,
Yeah. Pretty.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty slim.
Pretty slim.
And yeah, and that's what's so freaking cool, is like it's breaking down walls, and I'm meeting people in other countries where I assume that they just grew up right next to me, or we grew up in the same neighborhood, because or we're the same age demographic, because I'm like, oh, we got a lot in common. And then I hear like, oh, they live halfway across the world, and I thought people in that part of the world acted different. And I'm realizing, oh crap, but we're actually more the same than we're different.
Yeah. I mean, I actually met my wife on an internet forum. She's American and I'm
Awesome.
English. I'll be moving out to America hopefully within the next year, depending on paperwork and how long it all takes these days, which is way too long, unfortunately.
That's
But
awesome, man.
that was through online poker, funnily enough.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, I used to play tournaments often, well, fairly reasonably for a while until I got sick of it.
I don't have the patience for poker.
Yeah, I mean it's a brutal game at the best of times, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely gotta have some strong willpower. Yeah, I love playing for like an hour, but then it's a game of endurance and strategy. I just go
Yeah,
all
I
in
mean
and just call it a night.
I played tournaments, so
Oh yeah.
I mean I used to play large field tournaments as well. So I'd be playing for 10 hours, and one mistake after 10 hours is game over. And
Yeah.
when you've been playing for 10 hours and your concentration's flagging, and that's when the decisions are worth the most money. Uh, but yeah, kind of drifting off topic slightly there.
Yeah, actually, there was one thing I wanted to bring up, and we could wrap up soon too. Um, the uh thing we're working on right now, just from like a project update, so like we got our game, we got our token, those are in development. The token's going through a lot of legal vetting. That's
Yeah.
delaying it a little bit, but again, I think we're doing it the right way. But we're focused on building out our world, our story, the characters, because at the end of the day, when we look at ourselves as an entertainment company, it is about the stories, it's about the characters, and we've been actually developing our heroes are called the Vigilantes, and they inject the greens. And you see this guy gets like roided out as Bazooka Brock here, and we're developing what's their personality, what's their humor type, what's their life experiences. And one of the things that we're focused on right now is our comic series, because it's one thing to have a game, but I think that what makes the game good, because I'm a huge, like, I loved Final Fantasy growing up, and
Oh,
I
yes.
really loved story games. Is like, who is this? Okay, is it the broccoli that shoots stuff? Like, what's his story? And that's kind of what we've been working on most recently. And we've come up with I had to blur it out because we can't give away all the cookies, but it's gonna be dope. Like, I think that our biggest hurdle, honestly, is people don't love vegetables right off the bat, and that alone deters people from looking into our project sometimes. And
Have
at
to
the
admit,
end of
I
the
was one of those as well. Have to admit.
Yeah, and it's totally understandable. But I think that when people see the personality, they see the work we put in, they see the plans that we have, um, that's what's going to bring the vegetables to life. And ultimately, if we do get like really popular and everybody's got Veggiemates, like we could low key like promote healthier habits, which, let's be real, we all have horrible habits in this space.
Yes.
Whether it's our
Yes.
sleep, our diet, our lack of exercise. And I can say, me being involved in this project has inspired me to be a healthier person, because I'm just constantly I'm over here trying to preach to the choir. Well, I better listen to practice what I'm preaching, right?
Definitely.
And I really, really do hope that's the outcome, because that's ultimately what we want. We want a place where people do feel comfortable talking to each other, and being a little bit more open, because if we do nothing else, if we could make a couple individuals' lives better, that to us is success, because that's really the goal. And, like, when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back at what you've done in your life, you're probably not thinking, oh man, I'm glad my aid is worth this much. You're probably thinking about, what impact did I leave on this earth, who have I positively impacted, and like, what's my legacy. And ultimately, like, that's what drives us.
Yeah.
And you know but in order to do that, we got to get people excited about it, and we really do think bringing our vigilantes to life, and these heroes to life, and going through their stories, that's something that can definitely help promote that.
For sure. The TA has now left the chat, but it's probably worth asking his question anyway. He said the cheese currency, but I think he meant the greens. But will it only be in-game currency, or will we be able to have other uses for it as well, i.e., buying the comics or whatever other plans you have coming up in the future?
Yes, so cheese is like he's spot on.
Oh,
Cheese is
okay.
actually our in-game currency. Greens are like our ecosystem currency.
Right.
So I did Avagachi. They have something similar. They have they have their Avagachi token, and then they have Ghost. So you stake your Avagachi in their game, and then you own Ghost token, and then Ghost is what you use within the game ecosystem. So it'll be something like that. Um, it helps with like securities and legal
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
all that.
But yeah, if anyone has any other questions, now's probably a good time to get them as we're moving towards wrapping up. Um, people seem to have been a little bit quiet, so I'm not expecting too many more questions at this point. Um, but yeah, I mean, if there's anything you'd like to ask me about tools or anything, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a coder. Um, my background is in playing EverQuest for many years and running raid guilds and things like that. So I've come at this very much more from the community standpoint. But if there's any questions that you'd like to ask, feel free.
No, actually, it's funny because when we launched, we sold out our mint, and our we had a community vote. Do we want to be ranked or not? And our community voted against being ranked. And I actually love ranks myself, and it was hilarious because I knew, I mean, I don't know exactly how your algorithm works, but I have a pretty good idea how it works. And I remember because I got into clays before they were on your site, and I made a little spreadsheet, and I used to do my own ranking systems,
Yeah.
and I did it very similar to you guys. And so when I created Veggiemates, I actually build it with CNFT tools in mind. I'm like, oh, the whole top page is like number one rank is going to be windbreakers, and then the whole rest of the page is just going to be vegetables flipping you off with uncensored middle fingers, and then the whole floor is going to be dope looking. Like I wanted to like, so actually, if I don't know if you can look under the hood. If you actually did look at sort through our veggies through ranks, you actually see some of the floor models are actually really fire because I didn't want a garbage looking floor.
Yeah.
I wanted it to look cool, and so it's just funny now. Now I go back and it's like we're on CNFT tools. I built it towards the ranks. We actually don't even use the ranks,
No,
which I
we don't have ranks displayed on the tools page for Veggiemates, though I'm sure Jungle have got their own quote unquote version of it.
and it's god awful. I'll say that right now. I looked on there and like I don't know what algorithm they use, but it's
I
whatever's on there
I
is.
I I I I don't want to get too involved in punching Jungle, but when I look at some projects and I see, I mean, with Cardinos, they have Sky Dinos and Sea Dinos mixed in with the Car Dinos, and they're different policy IDs, and there's no way they should be mixed, but yet somehow they're all mixed together. And the rank one is something that we would consider to be, ranked like 9,000 or something, and it really
I
makes no
don't even
sense to me at
comprehend
all.
that. In my fear with that, honestly, and credit to you guys, is like I would hate for somebody like I would totally get if it was directionally like similar but different than your
Yeah,
rankings, right?
yeah,
But the one that is ranked number one is there. I can't come up with the mathematical
no,
explanation for it. And so what I would hate is for somebody to buy that thing thinking, oh, I got the rarest one, and it's like that ain't even like top 50%. And yeah, so I'm actually a big CNFT tools fan. So I really do appreciate you guys having us. What's in the future plans for you guys?
Well, the in the fairly immediate future is going to be the full wallet lookup, which yeah, they're still working on some of the technical stuff around that. But the idea is that you'll be able to hit, like the wallet button, and you'll be able to see all your NFTs. To start with, just the ones that with the projects that are listed with us. But you'll be able to see all your NFTs with their ranks and everything all in one place without having to navigate to each individual project, which we think is going to start becoming a game changer because obviously, we allow people to link multiple wallets. So we'll be able to display all the multiple wallets at the same time in the same place without having to switch between accounts and the app accounts and everything like that. So that's the major thing that's coming up soon. Um, the plan was originally to be this week, but it's been put off by some other back end issues that have had to be sorted out. But it's definitely quote unquote soon. Um, a little bit like you guys, Brad and PRZ don't like putting release dates on stuff, just simply for the fact that, stuff happens. And as soon as you put a release date, you have the endless when button pushes. So generally, when we announce something is coming soon, it's basically ready and it's going to be out within a few days. So yeah,
I'm
that's the
guessing
main thing.
he's got like a proper engineering background or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know them as wizards. I know enough to know what they do is bloody difficult a lot of the time. But yeah, I don't know too much about the back end side of it all, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair. You're the community person, which is very,
Yeah,
very important still.
but yeah, I mean, like when tools was being built, they actually went off and had I think it was like an entire weekend with a professor of statistics to go through all the way that we were ranking things to make sure everything was, well, a lot better than Jungle is right now. Let's put it that way. But yeah,
I love your rankings, because it's funny. I had an argument with somebody in Clay Nation early on because there was an unofficial ranking tool going around, and I disagreed with it because um, I don't know what you guys call it, but um, orangutan. There's like 12 of them,
right.
and I was looking at the relative rarity of that group. So it's like a clothing group, and it's the least quantity. And wings, there's 30 of them. That's the second lowest quantity. And but the thing is, wings is it's you either have wings or you don't, and that's it. There's only two options. So the average percentage there is 50%. So it's either yes or no. The average percent of the wings column is 50%, while on the clothes column there was like 30 options or something. I forgot what it was exactly. And so the average rarity of clothes was like 2% or whatever the math
Yeah,
worked out, 3%. And so the point zero whatever percent rarity out of 3% is actually a lot less rare than 0.03 out of 50%. And like that's how I did my math on my spreadsheet. I just remember arguing with people, and then your site came out and I was like, yeah, I was right. So I like whatever you guys are
yeah. I
using for
mean,
that.
one thing that we do is that we work with every project individually to make sure that the rankings A make sense and B fit within the creative vision. Because a lot of the time, they'll have their number one that they need to be number one for whatever reason, but for whatever reason with the natural rankings, it might be that one is like number 10. So occasionally some traits need to be boosted for the overall project to make sense. So we don't
Oh
get in
wow.
a situation like Jungle has, where nothing really quite makes sense and meshes with each other. We actually do bespoke service with every single project that lists with us to make sure everything looks right and everything makes sense, and you know.
I had no clue you guys did that, so I just assumed you just get what you get. So
Oh no, no, it's
I
it's it's very much a personal service for each project,
that's awesome.
which
I
again is the
spent
reason
so
why we
much
think people
time.
can trust it.
Totally, yeah. I was dwelling so much. I was like, oh my god, if I mess this up, um, it's like my fear was our rarest trait is Windbreaker. There's 11 of them, and I just really wanted to make sure those were the top 11,
Yeah.
and luckily they were. Honestly, I was really happy with how the ranks turned out. But yeah, I didn't realize that because I can, because of how complicated it was really hard to come up with rarities that were gonna pan out the vision I had. But I'm just like, man, how is everybody else figuring this out? Because I swear most people don't know how this works. Because I literally, I remember every time a new mint came out, like Gingerbreads, Tiger Society, Baby Aliens, like back in the early days, I had a spreadsheet I used to put together, and the
Yeah.
second the rarities drop, I just populated that bad boy, and like that was my edge on the market. Was like I knew what was gonna be rare, and so I'd be like, oh, everybody doesn't realize that trait's actually super rare. Once it gets listed on CNFT tools, it's gonna be because like projects used to not list on you guys instantly
Yeah.
when it first started, and so like that was my edge. Was just that spreadsheet. I literally would just have a spreadsheet every single time a new mint came out.
Yeah, I mean it's quite interesting where projects delay the release of the rankings, and then sort of like you see, people tend to, well, they they go for, you'll see the ones that think, oh, like, that particular item looks really sweet, I want that. And then the rankings come out, and then everyone's like, well, no, actually, I think I want that one instead because that's a lot rarer and everything like that. So you'll see the market shift, sort of like, almost within minutes of rankings coming out. I mean, the
Totally, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we had a funny situation. We voted against it, and we actually came out with rankings, I think, on CNFT tools, and then you guys must have like a policy change. We had rankings for a period of time, and then they got removed a few months back. And I see the benefit in both. I'm personally I'm an analytical person. I love numbers, so actually I like rankings. But when you don't have them, it forces you to look at the art because
yes,
now you and like every time somebody joins our Discord and like, how do I buy a veggie? I think on other projects, I mean, you sort it by the bottom, and you usually are like it's a logical, and then it's a, or it's a emotional, but then you back it up with logic. It's like, oh, there's a floor, and it's ranked, it's in the top 50%. That's a no-brainer, but it looks ugly, And for me, I just suggest everybody just go to the floor and pick something that looks good.
yeah,
And we have certain traits, like I know our suit trait, it's not even that rare, but people love it. And because we don't have rankings saying, oh, this isn't that rare, our suit floor is really high compared to um, some of some of the rarer, like much rarer traits. So I definitely see the advantage to not having a ranking. Um, but yeah, I could go both ways.
yeah. I mean, I think for the space in general, and this isn't just limited to CNFTs either, is that people think that the rarity ranking is the be all and the end all of valuing their NFT. And that
Exactly.
really should not be the case. Yes, it might be a component for some or even a lot of people, but it's a lot less than what I certainly believe it should be.
I learned that from my clays because I used to just buy clays because of the rank only, and then I got to a point where I'm like, man, this thing's hideous. Why am I?
Yeah,
I need to get, and I started getting good looking ones instead. The
that's
ones
the
that
thing.
I
Like,
actually like to
you
look
buy
at.
you buy rank 10, and if it looks like shit, well, no one's going to buy it off you anyway. So,
Totally, and I had this Uggo in my wallet, and funny enough, what I used to do is when Space Buds people started joining clays. I would just trade my ugly rare clays to Space Buds people because they didn't care. They didn't care what they looked like. They just cared about the rarity ranks. I'm like, all right, that was how I got my Space Buds was I traded for my ugly rare
oh, I see.
clays.
Space Buds is another one of those where I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll get one. Maybe I won't. Yeah, kind of wish I had now. Same
Yeah,
as
I'm
like
I'm
every
glad.
other project that's done well, but I do have a lot of projects that have rug pulled, so that's good.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta have a couple of those. I definitely whenever I have a project I believe in, I literally I had a good bag of Ada because I've been in the space for a while too, and I spent it all on NFTs. Like, luckily I bought a lot of clay because I really love the community. I own a good amount of veggies. I got a decent bag, but I got a wallet called Garbo. Uh, you don't want to end up there. That's
Yeah.
like the stuff I can't even get rid of. I'll hold it, but like I literally like it'll take more time listing it than I'll make. So um, yeah,
Yeah,
I got a few hundred of those. Don't you worry. You, you just got to make a couple. You know, one thing I learned is you make a lot of bad decisions. It's okay, but you just got to make a couple good ones. I
yeah,
think that's how anything is with life. Like, um, even when you're building your project or you're trying to start something off in life, I think I think it's Mark Cuban, or whoever says it, but you only need to be right once,
yeah,
and you learn. I won't name names, but like I definitely got burnt by a couple projects early on, like lost so much money,
yeah,
and because of that I learned, and so the next time it didn't happen, and the next time it didn't happen, and you know when we built our project out, I'm like, all right, we can't do this, we can't do that, because I
yeah,
seen what happens when you do this and that. So I try to look at it big picture, and I try not to dwell on I lost money on this one thing that I bought. I try to look at it like overall I'm doing okay,
yeah,
and a big reason why is because like I'm trying to invest in the projects I believe in. I'm still a DJ and I'll still buy whatever. If my chat is where I get all my advice from. They're like, oh, buy these things. I'm like, all right, and I do no research, but if I'm gonna go big on it, for me, I like to look into the team and who
yeah,
are these people and what's their plan, what's their roadmap, and all that. And Clay's is one where I felt really good about. Like they were fully docs, they had a roadmap, they had a really good community. It checked a lot of boxes, and you know, right now I'm looking at it and feel like a genius because I bought a bunch of them. You know, and I hope that um that's like that's how I see our like if you go into our community, we have a really good community. We have, I mean, you've seen the roadmap, but like
yeah.
we've been putting a lot of time into it, and in my heart of hearts, I just feel like eventually, because I really do think 95% of projects are gonna die. Eventually it's gonna shine because we're actually building content, you
Yeah.
know.
No, I definitely agree, and I've been kind of half thinking about getting a Vegemate or two recently anyway. So I'm pretty sure that, especially after speaking to you today, I'll be finding my way to selling something that I'm not quite so into and buying something I'm a little bit more into now.
Yeah, man. And have you watched the game trailer yet?
Yes, yes, I watched that before the stream, which I was quite enjoying actually.
So the Junkies will be our season 2, and honestly, I think people are gonna be very excited about the Junkies.
Very definitely.
Yeah, yeah, people like junk food more than they like vegetables.
But yeah, unfortunately, my headset is warning me that it's running low on battery. Um, and as I'm recording this, I don't know how much space I have left on my hard drive at this point.
No, I think it's
So,
a good time to wrap it up,
yeah,
man. I really appreciate you having us on. Big fan of CNFT tools, and really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about the project.
yeah, definitely. We'll definitely look forward to having you back on again at some point in the future. There's a couple of ideas for AMA slash discussions that I'd like to happen at some point in the semi near future, and yeah, but
Heck
yeah,
yeah,
you
man.
guys will definitely be invited to those, and we'll look forward to having you back.
All right, awesome. Well, nice speaking with you. Thank you,
Thanks a lot.
everybody,
Nice
for
to meet you
joining.
too. And
All
yeah,
right, see ya.
thanks a lot everyone else for joining us. And we have another AMA tomorrow night. Let me just double check who this is with because we've actually got quite a few scheduled at the minute. So yeah, tomorrow night we have Cardano Robin with Aidenauts.
Nice. Cardano Robbins a G.
And yes, that will be at 8 o'clock UTC in the evening. So yeah, thank you everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Awesome. All right. See ya. Bye.
Cheers.